one of your MCs, Jean Swanson. I'm running for council with COPE. Here's your other MC.
Hi, I'm Derek O'Keefe, and I'm also running for City Council with COPE, along with Ann Roberts, who will be joining us later today. We want to acknowledge, of course, that we're on the unceded Squamish, Tsleil-Waututh, and Musqueam territories today. And in addition to the COPE candidates, the council candidates, you'll be hearing from the school board and park board candidates. Today's announcement obviously involves transit. It also involves a billboard. And with that, I'd like to tell you about our special guest today, not a typical COPE supporter. We have joining us today Peter Wall. Do people know about Peter Wall? Now, let me tell you a little background on Peter Wall. In a 2012 feature in Vancouver Magazine, Peter Wall, who is one of the wealthiest developers in the city of Vancouver, we'll just let the sirens pass us here, while you all think about why Peter Wall might be here today. So a little bit of biography on Peter Wall. One of the wealthiest developers in the city. In a feature profile in Vancouver Magazine, Peter Wall said that wealth in itself is boring. And this is from a very wealthy individual. Now, the kind of wealth that Peter Wall and other developers have amassed in recent years must be truly, truly boring, because it's a massive amount of money that is accumulated with the property value increases that have happened. In 2018, the land value assessments that were announced at the beginning of 2018, it was revealed that in Greater Vancouver, the total assessment, according to BC Assessment, for the land value in Greater Vancouver is over $900 billion. And that represented an over $80 billion increase in just 1 year. Now, that's for Greater Vancouver, but much of that is here in the city of Vancouver, and it's developers like Peter Wall who have been reaping the benefits of that land value increase. So today, and reaping the boredom that comes with all that unearned money. So today, you've heard about our mansion tax. The mansion tax is a way of making this city less boring and less unfair by taking money from the rich, by taxing the rich, to make their lives more fun, because wealth in itself is boring because you have to share the wealth. So COPE is all about helping the developers and the super rich live more interesting and productive lives. So we want to help Peter Wall out with that. And Jean is going to tell, and you know, what applies to housing and what we could do with that money from housing, building modular housing, building co-ops, also applies to transit and all of the wealth that is sloshing around in this city. So Jean has a couple more things to tell you about Peter Wall, and then we will get the man himself out here.
So yeah, Peter Wall also donated hundreds of thousands of dollars to Vision Vancouver. So you wonder why he's getting so many high-rises. He also has the Wall Center downtown. He's kind of like our Donald Trump. In fact, he's a Donald Trump fan. And we're proud to say that today Peter Wall is inadvertently helping us with a billboard that we're going to unveil. Do we do that now?
Let's have Peter Wall come
Peter, come on out.
Thank you very much, very much. I'm very happy to be here to unveil this new billboard. As you know, people have been whining for years about developers getting a free ride. It's really frustrating to hear that over and over again. So I was really pleased when a bunch of young people came up and said they wanted to put up a poster, or a billboard in fact, in favor of a free ride. And I thought, that's what I'm after. I'm after a free ride. Yes. So I will fund the billboard. Now, it might be against the rules, but rules don't apply to people like me. So I figured, yeah, $85,000, $150,000, no matter, whatever it costs, let's put up a billboard to promote the free ride.
All right, let's do it. Let's see the billboard.
What? Whoa, no. Hey, wait a minute. That says, for the working class. And that's Ann Roberts, my arch enemy, who's always been fighting against the developers and in favor of free transit for ordinary people. No, that's not my free ride. What? There is Ann Roberts. My God, what's going on here?
Get on the bus.
Well, damn. Don't I at least get a U-Pass out of this? Well, I didn't expect
No U-Pass for you, Peter. It's only for the working class. No free rides for developers. Free rides for developers. No free rides for developers. No free rides for developers.
No free rides for developers.
Okay, now I'm going to introduce Ann Roberts, our amazing council candidate, who's going to tell you about COPE's plan for a U-Pass for the working class.
Woo! Nicer than Hector's billboard, eh? Very funny. U-Pass for the working class. That's right. For the past few decades, some people have been given a free ride. Peter, you are absolutely right. It's been for too long. The developers, speculators have been getting a free ride. They've been given the keys to the city. They've been making billions while working people are seeing rents go up and not their wages. It's time to end the free ride and give a break to free people. That means a rent freeze. It also means making transportation more affordable. Today, we're announcing COPE's plan to work toward free transit. Vancouver calls itself the greenest city in the world, but the city doesn't always walk the talk. Here's one example. Did you know that the biggest source of carbon emissions in the Lower Mainland is cars, automobiles? Over 5 million tons released into the atmosphere every year. Is that going to blow down on me? I'm getting a little nervous. Okay. Back to the subject at hand, emissions, car emissions, and what is the city doing about it? Actually, they do plan to reduce the emissions from 55% down to 35%, but it won't be until 2040. There's no reason to wait 20 years to reduce emissions. We can do it now. All we have to do is have the political will to do it. And Vancouver needs more buses and lower fares. We can say it. Vancouver needs more buses and lower fares. We're announcing today that COPE will introduce, as soon as possible after the election, that a motion that for a universal transit pass that will be the first step toward achieving free transit. There are 3 parts to the program. 1, free transit for kids. And Barb Parrott and Diana Day, our school board candidates, will talk to you about that in a minute. Second, we'll extend the low-income seniors bus pass program to all low-income people. There's no reason why a 65-year-old person with low income gets basically free transit, but a 64-year-old with low income has to pay $174 a month for a 3-zone pass. There are 80,000 people in the city who live in low-income households, and many cannot afford to take transit. This is such a shame. Hold on. Calgary has a cheap bus pass for low-income people. If Calgary can do it, so can we. So the third part of our program is we'll extend the universal bus pass now at the colleges and universities to all working-class people with low to medium income. That means people earning between $25,000 to $65,000 a year, depending on the family size, will be able to buy a pass for the low rate that students now enjoy. That's $41 a month. Think that would make to their budgets. Think how much it would mean to be able, in this most expensive city in the world, to be able to afford that bus pass. We've done the math to make sure we can pay for what we propose. Free fare for kids would cost $10.5 million. Low-income passes $27.5 million, and middle-income passes between $20 and $40 million. That totals for these U-passes for the working class, for the most needy in our city, will be under $80 million. Of course, TransLink cannot absorb these costs, but the province recently announced increases in its carbon tax. If the province passed on to the city just those portion of Vancouver's, the increase in the tax just for here in Vancouver residents, we would have the money to pay for it. That's right. It's a reasonable plan. If when you eliminate and reduce fares, you get more people taking transit. That's a good thing. So, we need more buses. We estimate 20,000 new transit commuters in the long run, 40,000 20,000 new transit users in the short run, 40,000 in the long run. To meet the demand, we got to have more buses and infrastructure. We need drivers, we need buses, we need operational costs, but it would only be another $50 million per year in the short term and $100 million in the long term. We need more buses. We have to work with the provincial government and TransLink to put more and more of the carbon tax revenues toward buying transit. Even the highest cost we've estimated, including reduced fares and all those new buses, could be funded if the province allocated to us 2/3 of the carbon tax revenues that's collected here in the city, not an unreasonable demand. The BC government said in its budget this year that revenues generated from carbon tax increases will be focused on 3 broad areas. Carbon tax relief, number 1, carbon tax relief for low and moderate income British Columbians. Number 2, support for emissions-intense industry to transition to a low-carbon economy. And 3, new green initiatives to grow innovation and investment. We think that reducing fares and increasing transit ridership more than meets all 3 of the province's goals. We think there's no better way to spend carbon tax revenues. If we want to fight climate change and reduce air pollution, we need to get people out of cars and get on transit.
So true. Yeah.
We've all heard the phrase, you can't build your way out of congestion, but you can provide enough affordable, attractive transit to take 40,000 cars off the road. And that's what this will do. With the U-Pass for the working class, no one will be left on the curb. Thank you.
Okay, so now we're going to get John Irwin and Gwen Giesbrecht to announce another really exciting part of this plan that COPE has. You know, I just got my driver's license out. I have my driver's license on this side, and I have my MSP on the other side. I think a lot of people have that. Wow, just think what we could do with the U-Pass for the working class and community and rec facilities.
Yeah. Great. Thanks, Jean. Good afternoon, everybody, fellow transit riders, citizens. As the previous speakers have said, Vancouver has more unaffordable people who aren't millionaires and billionaires. So there's more of us, in other words. Renters, workers, and low-income people, especially kids, all should live healthy lives. They deserve access to city services, which is increasingly unaffordable for them. We're thinking of this universal pass as a key to the city for the working class. kids and people with low income and middle income would be able to access transit with this pass. Then they'd use the same pass to access park board facilities and systems so they can get exercise, get off their screens. I have 3 children. You know, getting them off the screens is difficult. Getting them to community centers will help with that. These programs used to be free for kids under 5, but now even 3-year-olds have to pay fees. So these skating rinks, fitness programs, swimming pools have these high fees that keep our children from attending them, especially for people whose budgets are stretched because of high rents and the high cost of the city. So for 3-year-olds, it costs $3.05 to go swimming, $2.90 to go skating. So if that was removed, a family of 3 or 4 could afford to go to these centers and get the exercise they need. Thank you.
Thanks, John. With a universal pass to the city, all kids under 18 would be able to access community center programs, swimming pools, and skating rinks, no matter how much money their parents earn. With the low-income and middle-income universal pass, people who are struggling to pay rent won't have to choose between buying the groceries and doing recreational things in their own city. The cost of this program would be less than the cuts made to the park board. The park board collects $9.3 million in admission fees each year, which would be less than the under $5 million needed for people to be able to access these programs. Between 2008 and 2010, the city has cut $5 million from the park board budget and has never put it back. The cost of removing these financial barriers is small, and the benefit so large that it's amazing that we haven't done it already. A single drop-in swim at a community-funded swimming pool this summer for an adult was $7.40. Vote on October. Let's make sure that all Vancouverites, no matter what their income, have the ability to access all of the city has to offer, has the ability to move about the city, get to their work, get to their various destinations that makes this city so wonderful without having to break the transit bank, and being able to access programs at recreational facilities and our community centers that are affordable, that everyone has a chance to participate. And come October 20th, vote for COPE, vote for Jean Swanson, Ann Roberts, Derek O'Keefe for council, Gwen Giesbrecht, John Irwin for park board, Diana Day, and Barb Parrott for school board, and we will work hard to bring all of these suggested policies into effect. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's hear it for Gwen and John, soon to be park board commissioners for COPE. Thank you very much. And if you're joining us late or just stopping to wait for your bus, what we're doing here is announcing a new universal pass for the working class and also free transit for youth, as well as access to parks and rec for all children. And the billboard we have here was created by an artist named Maddie, along with others helping out. And it was inspired by Peter Wall, one of the big developers, who was so bored with all the money he had that he gave $85,000 to his law firm to go and commission billboards for one of the other parties and one of the other candidates whom we won't mention today. So this is the People's Billboard, and this is the People's Campaign. And this campaign is all about taking all of that wealth that exists on this stolen land here in Vancouver and spreading it out to the people who work every day and to who make this city run with their labor. So that includes the wealth that is produced also needs to go to accessible schools and school programs as well. And because we're talking about transit for youth, it's very important that we bring up our 2 school board candidates here today. So please give a very warm welcome to Barb Parrott and Diana Day. Perfect. Thank you, Diana.
Thank you. Now, I'd like to acknowledge the Coast Salish territory that I'm so honored to live and work and play on, and the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh people. Nyawa, for all that you've done for Vancouver, keeping this land pristine for the thousands and thousands and thousands of years. And let's hear it for the UPass for the working class. Woo-hoo! Yes, thankful to COPE for all the ideas that came forward from COPE. I'm thinking about from 2014 to the $15 minimum wage, that was a COPE idea. Also the empty home tax that came from COPE. And now the UPass for the working class. I love it. I'm really hoping that we can all support COPE and make sure that we get elected on election day and start voting. October 10th is the first day. Get out there. Your community centers are open. So we have a script here that we're going to talk about, and I'm just going to mention the first part and let Barb continue with the second. So I want to say that there's 86,000 youth in Vancouver right now between the ages of 5 and 18, and 17,000 of those youth between the ages of 5 and 18 are in low-income housing. Low income. So we really need to support those youth. Many youth who are traveling on the buses, it would be great if we could have free transit for them to be able to get back and forth to school. The city's very big, and sometimes our youth don't have funding in order to get to school. Bus fare is very expensive for them, so we'd really like to make that free so that there would be no obstacles, no barriers for them to get their education. We really need to do that. And one of the things that the TransLink does right now is they have a contest. This week, they're having a contest where schools can win a day pass for field trips. But they only give out 35 passes across the whole city for that. And with our universal pass, children wouldn't have to win a lottery. They wouldn't have to win a lottery to go on a field trip. They'd be able to go on a field trip every day if they wanted to. We could do so much good for students at Strathcona, Grandview Elementary, all of those schools that are needing extra support. So we really need to support our vulnerable youth, and we're really hoping that you can vote for Day on voting day, and also to vote for COPE. Vote COPE, the COPE slate. With COPE, there's hope. With COPE, there's hope. So let's all do that, and let's hear from Barb.
Thank you. That was Diana. Thank you, Diana. I'm Barb Parrott, and I'm running for school trustee with Diana with COPE. I spent my teaching career in Vancouver on the east side, and I was always amazed when I went on field trips with my kids that most of them had never seen the Pacific Ocean. Imagine that. They hadn't seen the Pacific Ocean. If we had free transit for kids under 18, we could go on field trips, and we could go to the ocean, and we can go to the science world, and we can go to parks. We can learn how to ride on a bus and learn how to ride in SkyTrain. Last night I took SkyTrain to Coquitlam Centre. I was the oldest person standing. No one got up and gave me their seat because those kids haven't ridden SkyTrain. Just imagine what we could do if we could teach kids the proper etiquette for riding on SkyTrain and for riding on buses, and get them out into the city and see this beautiful city we have, and not have to collect the $1.25 and add it all up. Just get onto when we feel like it, we'll just get onto the train or get onto the bus and go where we want to go. It's the only fair, equitable thing to do. They have free transit in Seattle. They have free transit for kids in Toronto. They have free transit for kids in Edmonton, in Halifax. If they have those there, why not here? Why not here? Why not here? Thank you.
Thanks everybody for coming. It's time we can cut off that free ride for the developers. No more special deals for Peter Wall. It's time for Ann Roberts and Cope and Derek O'Keefe and Jean Swanson take over City Hall, and we are going to have a U-Pass for the working class. Let's hear it. U-Pass for the working class. U-Pass for the working class. You pass for the working class. You pass for the working class. Yay!
All right. And we, contrary to the banner, we're not about cult of personality in Cope. This is a very people-powered campaign. It's made by volunteers, so anyone watching this online, or those of you who just come around because they were curious about this billboard, oh, there it is. Oh, we need wind power in this province, right? And we need more electric buses. All right. Let's hear it for the artist who made that banner, the billboard rather. Let's hear it for the group of volunteers that were holding up the billboard. It was not easy. Okay, and let's hear it from all of you. Together we're going to make a political revolution in this city. Thanks again for coming. All right.